Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Good evening. Good to see you all here. My name is Christopher Flood de Dromenaars. I'm the Chief Strategy and Program Innovation Officer at StoryCorps. Thank you. Also a board member here at PhillyCam and serving on their executive committee. For anybody whose first time is in PhillyCam, I probably think it's not too many, but raise your hand if this is your first time in PhillyCam. Oh, a little more than I thought. Well, welcome. And how many people have heard of StoryCorps before, have seen any StoryCorps content? Okay, great, right. But we have some newbies. Who has never heard of StoryCorps before? Okay, all right. So just a quick piece of history. PhillyCam was established in 2009 after years of advocacy by what was then known as the Media Mobilizing Project. The organizing principle was simple. In a city that was shaped by a lot of media institutions, the thought was that everyday people should have access to the tools to allow people to share and distribute their stories. And StoryCorps was founded on a very similar principle, which is that everyday people have a story worth sharing, and even more importantly, a story worth listening to. And that listening is an act of love. That was in 2003 when StoryCorps was founded. Small recording booth at Grand Central Station. And what has happened since then is over 700,000 people, two people who know and love one another, have shared their stories with us. And their stories have been archived in the Library of Congress. We now have the largest single collection of human voices ever assembled in the world. And it's a partnership, it's something we're really proud of with the Library of Congress. And we're also really proud of the partnership with PhillyCam because we think it makes sense. So what brings us here today is Brightness in Black, which is our newest initiative. The point of that is to collect and share bold cultural stories, joyous cultural stories, while countering harmful narratives about the Black experience. And for too long, Black stories and stories about the Black community have led with hardships and obstacles, or what we call deficit framing. And while the challenges are real, when you start there, you reinforce stereotypes and you limit people's ability to see our full humanity and our full ability. But when you lead with aspirations and contributions, or asset framing, which we'll hear a little about in a second, you change the entire narrative. You introduce stories of resilience and joy and hope and innovation, sometimes stories that go overlooked. So the stories that you're going to see today are the stories that are rooted in that concept of asset framing. And so without further ado, I'm going to give you a quick peek at the sizzle reel for Brightness in Black. And the next voice you hear will be that of Sophia Ballin, who's our executive producer for Brightness in Black. Enjoy, and thank you for coming out.
We are the ones who have been assets to this nation since before it had a name.
Black people just don't know the word give up. We are indeed brightness in black.
It's a sense of pride. It's the style, it's the way you talk, it's the aura that you have.
You see, you have to build on what people come before you do. So if you can remember the things that they had to go through, then that should make you want to do the best that you can do.
The stories you tell will create the lives that people live. Like what they hear is what they will try to live into.
I wanted you to be a good person.
I learned that from you.
Don't let anybody else define you. Define yourself.
This is real love, telling stories for the Black community. This is what it's about.
My grandmother was a quilter, and she put scraps together into these beautiful patterns. And I feel that I'm doing that, but with history.
There was a puddle, and you took your shirt off and laid it down. I was finished. Finished. You hear?
What's the best part of being my mom?
I like that no one dims your light. That's what I love about being your mom.
We love. That's how we roll.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Good evening. You guys could be anywhere in the world on this Friday, and you're here with us, so we appreciate that. It's been nice, just the energy in the room. I've been spending a lot of time in LA, and when I came back to Philly, you just feel that like love, that groundedness. So I'm soaking it all in, so I'm happy to be here. My name is Sophia Ballin. I'm the executive, hi, Tony. I'm the executive producer for Brightness in Black, for StoryCorps' Brightness in Black. So I handle a lot of the stories and greenlighting them and making sure that they align with our mission of highlighting our contributions, our joy, our love, our pride, and our strength. So just to get into the little bit of the journalism of it all, to level set us before we watch some of these pieces, right? In journalism, we're taught that if it bleeds, it leads. And so there has to be some sort of sensationalism in order for people to engage with it. And that's especially true when people tell Black stories. So with Brightness in Black, we're going against that, right? It's a lot of corrective work in highlighting all of the positives and the beauty and the contributions of us, where trauma and struggle isn't the defining lens through which we tell our stories. We highlight the strength, the agency, and the possibility. We don't ignore hardship, but we don't let it be the sole lens. We're not saints, and we're also not sinners at the same time. So really showcasing the humanity of us. I like to say, when I work with our producers, we approach asset framing from pitching the stories, who we select, down to the editing process especially. That's very important. How do we start the story? How do we end it? What's the overall theme? I like to say that the overall arc is that we should feel like we're highlighting the jump and not the hurdle only, right? And that's important because historically, a lot of the stories, Black stories that are rooted in trauma and our struggle, tend to be the most visible, the most profitable, and the most awarded, especially in mainstream. Independently and in our community media, of course, we see that nuance and that full view of us, but mainstream-wise, those typically are the stories that get the accolades. We're seeing some changes, a little bit with Issa Rae, Quinta Brunson, Ava DuVernay, and the Ryan Cooglers, but with Brightness in Black, we want to make sure that we're moving within that theme and that thread. And without that intention, care, and balance, those narratives can reinforce a limited view of Black life, one that many of us internalize, especially Black people. So we're actively shifting the frame. This is narrative change work. We're telling stories that aren't just honest, but full. Stories where Black people are not only surviving, but creating, loving, dreaming, and thriving. So to give you a little bit more background on asset framing, we're gonna share this video with one of the leading experts of the methodology, Trabian Shorters.
Grandma used to say, it's not about what people call you, it's always about what do you answer to. Asset framing says, start with people's aspirations, start with their contributions, and then let's see what we can do to remove the barriers to aspiring people's worthy aspirations. And so asset framing actually ends up having profound impacts, because first it changes how you think about yourself and how you show up in the world. Second, it changes how people respond to you. And then third, it changes the systems that we operate within. When you define people by their deficits and challenges and threats and all that, you invoke stigma. And stigma makes it harder for anybody to feel empathy, sympathy, compassion towards the folks who are being stigmatized. When you imagine a Black man, what images come to your mind? When you imagine a Black woman, when you imagine a Black child, are they accurate images? Giving people fuller narratives, it's the only way to reduce bias. If you're trying to help people to not have all these prejudicial attitudes, you got to give the mind a fuller map. You're trying to get people to, free their minds. And the question that leads to that is actually, who do you think you are? If human beings are genuinely, truly narrative-driven, then the stories you tell will create the lives that people live. We're much more than a single narrative. So I love that Brightness in Black gets to shine a real light on who we are as a people. The people of the African diaspora are beautiful, loving, really strong, spiritually gifted people. But the other reason I'm so proud to be Black is because whatever America thinks it's gonna be, it can't get there unless we become who we're supposed to be.
All right, me again. So, first thing I want to do is thank you all again for coming out here on a Friday. You can be anywhere, as Sophia said, and you're here. That means a lot to us. Next, I want to acknowledge our partners, all the wonderful partners who have helped us over the last couple of years. There's Low Filmmakers in the house. You'll hear more about them because they have some work in what you're going to see. Love Now Media, represented by Joss in the house. Malcolm Jenkins Foundation, we've had a wonderful partnership in a charter school with them this year. And then I also want to thank Word Radio. They've been a wonderful media partner for us. And last, but certainly not least, PhillyCam in the house. They've been great for us as well. And big thanks for all of our funders, Nike Jordan's Black Community Commitment, and the Hearthland Foundation. All right. Before we see the good stuff, there's an unfortunate side to asset framing as well, called deficit framing. And what Brightness in Black has been doing is trying to counter the deficit frame narratives that we unfortunately hear a lot about the Black community. Two of the ones that are really important to us over the last couple of years are these up here. The whole idea that Black families are broken, and the idea that Black people aren't doing enough in their communities. What you're gonna watch are pieces, content, visual, in photos and video that actually counter these two narratives. That's what Brightness in Black is all about, and the work will speak for itself. So with that said, I'm going to show this. It is about 35 minutes of screening, and then after that, we'll have a panel for about 20 minutes, and then we'll open up for Q&A for all of you all. Sounds good? Sounds good. All right.
We met in college. One night, I went to a basketball game where he was the star player, so I noticed him. And after that, he passed by me on the campus, and there was a saying at the time, "You're my SP," my secret passion. So he passed by me and said, "You're my SP." And one time, he was dancing the way they danced in Harlem.
So, Daddy, what kind of dancing was that?
The Lindy.
Oh, the Lindy.
But he and I danced slow dances.
She's a goody two-shoes.
What did he say?
He says you're a goody two-shoes.
Well, that's what they all call me all my life.
Tell me about your wedding and how did it happen?
It was 1941. She was in the graduating class, and it occurred to me that I would never see her again. I didn't want to lose this girl. I sort of panicked, and with nothing to offer her, I asked her to marry me. She, to my great delight, said yes. I've been lucky. I look upon us as the princess and the pauper. And the princess and the pauper prevailed so far for 83 years.
I still don't know how to introduce you in the email, whether it's Mom or Gwendolyn.
Yeah, it is a unique balance there.
Back when we first started working together, you were like, okay, you could either be a puddle that's shallow and touches a lot of things, or you can be a well.
When you say like a river or a well, specifically a river, it's going to form the land and it's going to feed those on the land. It's not temporary, it's sustainable.
You know, once I believe in something, I'm usually just like the Terminator. Like, I'm just going to keep going all in. You know, that's what I learned from you.
Well, first of all, thank you for noticing. Because sometimes as a parent, you try to be an example and you make sacrifices, but a lot of times it goes unnoticed. It fills my heart to know that you've listened all of these years. But watching you stand up and protest against huge systemic problems was kind of scary for me, but I'm very proud of those moments. Those are things instilled in my own upbringing through your grandfather. My father is my role model and has always shown me it's about community and family. You don't get anywhere by yourself. And so when I see you pay it forward and instill those same values to your children, that is my legacy.
I like that. Thank you, Mom, for not only all that you do, but for this conversation.
I love you and keep doing the great work that you're doing. It is making a difference.
I love you too.
It started around my eyes and it literally grew out like a mask. And I remember calling and saying, you know, Dad, my vitiligo is moving kind of fast.
Well, I was shocked because I had asked doctors if any of my kids would have vitiligo. And they said, probably not. It usually skips a generation. So when I found out that you had it, I was scared for you.
It was easy for me to deal with because of seeing you deal with it. Like, I've never seen you without vitiligo. And so it's like, that's normal. That's my dad.
I have 5 kids. And when I had to take you guys out and about, you guys wanted to protect me.
Ready to fight.
Okay, yeah. Anything anyone did or said, you guys were just like, hey, watch yourself. And so I had to ease you guys' mind and let you understand that I was okay. I didn't need the protection.
I know for me, I get stared at like crazy.
Well, I know there's kids like to touch me. How do they react to you?
Man, there was a point I would avoid kids in the store. If a kid was coming down the aisle, I'm like, I don't need no bread. But I did something one time. I was at Walmart and I'm walking down the aisle and this little boy, he had to be about 5 or 6. He was just staring at me. He looked so freaked out. But I stopped and I said, you want to know why I look like this? And he was like, yeah. And I said, because I was staring at somebody in Walmart. And I told his mom, I was like, you know, I'm just kidding with him.
Well, Shariq, you know, you're a very beautiful woman. And you keep your head up and you walk on. And I couldn't be more proud of you for the way you handle yourself. Really, my chest goes out for you.
What does Black love mean to you and where do you see it in your life?
Black love to me, man, it's just like this force of nature, not being afraid to hold someone or scold them or hold them accountable or uplift them. And the ways it showed up in my life was seeing you and Mom together, not just like holding the door for her, but how y'all would laugh together and play. Her singing to me at night, rubbing my back so I could fall asleep at 3, 4, 5 years old. Or Grandma, your mother, making sure when I came over there after school, I had some toast with butter and chocolate milk, Nesquik powder, 2 scoops, sometimes 3 if I'm feeling froggy.
When you put up the Nestle's Quick, I could see that metal can in her cupboard, and I would get the biggest glass and turn it to a milkshake that's so daggone thick with chocolate.
Yeah, and just being at the opposite ends of the table, sharing space, holding space, you know, that's love. And I saw you shed 1 tear my whole life, and that was at Grandma's funeral, and it was just 1 tear.
The tears that I did shed, I always shed privately. You needed strength around you to hold you together, so I had to put up a front. And I never really cried hard for my mom, no. Maybe I should.
But you can. Yeah. You gotta let that out, man.
I never really cried for it. I just didn't know when it was going to come. And here it is. All that I held on from the day I found her. And then having to tell you, and then be strong for everybody that walked through that door.
You did the best that you could with what you had. Most people would have crumbled, but you kept showing up. And I guess that's one of the things that I ultimately learned how to do too, was just keep showing up, no matter how hard it got. And listening to you, I'm thinking about, like, what am I going to pass down to Moses, my son? Now, he's only two and some change, but every night after we finish praying and giving thanks to the ancestors, I just talk to him about my fears, my concerns. I know he ain't responding because I start hearing him snore, but I need to show that it's okay to feel what you feel. It's okay to let that hurt go, but it's also okay to ask for help. We can go so much further when we lean on one another. That's my word. Love you.
Love you too.
Grandma was one of my favorite people. I love you, Mom, but that was my girl.
And I tell you why. When you were born, I had to have major surgery. So my mom took care of you the first year of your life. Your first word was with her. Your first walk. I mean, she literally did everything the first year.
She was my first voice coach.
Yeah, she was.
She used to write the plays for the church. And I remember she made me be the voice of God. And she used to have me like standing with my back straight in the kitchen. And she'd tell me to project and enunciate. And being the voice of God in a children's play led to me now working on the radio.
She said you were a butterfly and I was not to clip your wings. But you know what, Cherry? Let me tell you something. I was mad at you, so let's just clear the air, okay? Let's just clear the air. When Grandma was in the nursing home, you got a cell phone, and it only had 300 minutes, and you told Grandma she could call you every day. And you told me that I had to call you on the payphone because you had to save that 300 minutes for Grandma.
But I want you to tell me about my great-grandmother, your grandmother.
Big Mama.
Yeah.
She actually was like 4'10".
Tiny.
Yes, and she sat in a rocking chair all the time, and I didn't find out till I was grown. It was a child's rocking chair, but you wouldn't know it because she just had such a big voice, you know? Big Mama taught me to be okay in the skin that I was born in. Somebody called me fat. She said, honey, you not fat, you just pleasantly plump. Come on, let's go get some ice cream. You know, so she was just always about being the best version of you, whatever that is.
How do you think Big Mama influenced how you are being a grandmother to your grandchildren?
She taught me to love. She said, when you're dealing with your children and your grandchildren, lead with love. And always remind them that you love them. Yeah. I tell you all the time, I love you from the moment you open your eyes. I love you till God closed mine.
I wish I had met Big Mama, though.
I wish you had, too.
I just want to make sure they're remembered.
Yeah. But they're in us, so how can they be forgotten?
Mom, what was the thing that you called Dad, the nickname you had?
Oh, yeah, I know that nickname. My damn fine cat.
Come on now.
MDFC, right?
Yes.
Oh, God. How long has Dad been gone?
7.
7 years. Oh, boy, oh, boy. And how did I meet him? It wasn't Chicago. Okay, right, because he was a comedian.
Yes, indeed. Can I say something, Mama?
Yeah.
You did not know that Dad was going to move so deeply into the civil rights movement. But the beauty is that you said, wherever you go, I'm going with you.
Okay. You were arrested many times. And once you were arrested pregnant with twins. Was I? Mm-hmm. You and Pam?
Mm-hmm. You stayed in jail for nearly 2 weeks.
Also, you always say that you can't believe how much Dad relied on you. Right. Because anybody asked him about anything, he would say, Carl. I have a shirt that says call Lil, don't I?
Yes, you do.
Yeah. That was just part of my life, and I loved every minute of it.
I remember you told me you was back in school, and I just bust out laughing because I didn't believe you until the next day when you came to the house with your laptop and your book bag.
It took me by surprise, too. I was the oldest person in the building. I was older than my teachers, even the maintenance people. I'm saying to myself, what the hell I'm doing here? I'm retired. I don't need this. But education is a beautiful thing. It's like a flower. You plant a seed, you give it a little water, give it the sunshine, and it grows.
To see you finally putting yourself first for once, it meant everything to me.
I knew that I had to answer to you. You was like a little voice in my head say, you know what? We ain't gonna settle for C's. You were like a second mother. You told me that you always be there for me no matter what.
So I have to ask you this. When I dropped out of high school at a young age, what was your first reaction?
Want my honest opinion on that?
Yes, please be honest.
I wanted to kick you dead in your ass.
And I knew you was going to say that. But, you know, in my 20s, I went back to school, and that piece of paper made me feel like I was on top of the world. I'm proud of myself.
I'm proud of you, too. I think that's why I went back.
When you graduated, how did it feel to walk across the stage?
I was just nervous walking up the steps without fall, or how I would react when I get the diploma in my hand.
I couldn't even get my camera together when you was coming down the aisle. My heart was pounding. I kind of lost my voice screaming your name. I'm like, and he got his cool walk going on and his sunglasses. So I'm like, I hope he can see the steps while he going up. I hope he see him while he coming down.
It's a long time coming. I look at my diploma every day. My mother, she only went as far as 11th grade, but she wanted all of her children to finish high school. On her dying bed, I promised her that I would go back, get my diploma. You know, I go to my mother's gravesite, visit her from time to time. The other day, I took my high school diploma with me, and I sat down and told her that I finally did it.
She's looking down at you and she's smiling from ear to ear because you kept that promise.
When I'm drumming, I'm Mr. Why Not, which is Tony backwards. I was born and raised in Quillen and Pulaski projects. I had started taking the music classes in first grade. When I seen the drums, I was like, am I able to play that? She said, this is a snare drum. You sure you want to play that? I say, yes. Put me on the drums. When I was young, I wanted to be a music teacher. And today I work in 5 different schools teaching music. During the pandemic, everything was shut down, and there we were, just like entertaining our city, just showing there's love. In Mount Airy, we was marching down this hill, and we like had all the people come out their houses and, with their masks, and it was good to see like their neighbors. When we got back to the car, it was a envelope sitting in the window shield, and I opened it up and looked. This lady, she left this message in a $20 bill, and she said when she heard the drums, it gave her hope. But when she said the drums gave her hope, that touched my heart. Drums speak. also gather. I believe and I know that this is my life's calling. You know, like this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
I wasn't planning on having you as my roommate. I actually thought that if Bowdoin College knew I had you, they wouldn't let me come to college. So I hadn't mentioned it to anyone. And I got a job working at Staples, cleaning at night. And I had to take you in with me at work sometimes and hide you in the closet. I think I lost something like 27 pounds just from stress and not eating because I didn't have enough for both of us. My basketball teammates were my first babysitters. I just remember coming from class and there were 4 giant guys and then there was this 18-month-old who was tearing up the room.
Were you ever embarrassed bringing me to class or just having me in general?
I felt a little awkward, but never embarrassed. There were times when the only way I could get through was to come in and look at you and see you sleeping and then go back to my studies. And my graduation day from Bowdoin is a day I'll never forget. You know, all of my classmates, they stood up and gave me the only standing ovation.
I remember walking up with you and having my head in your shoulder.
Yeah. The dean called both of our names as he presented us with the diploma.
So technically I already graduated from college.
Nice try. That degree only has my name on it, so you still gotta go.
I really admire your strength. And I love you.
I draw my strength from you. I always have, and I still do.
My name is Steve Jameson. I'm the owner of Blue Soul Shoes. This has been a lifelong dream of mine, a fulfillment of a desire of mine that I had since I was a kid. My mom was the one who got me started in fashion. She used to make clothes for me when I was a kid, and she also taught me to sew. And so I learned at a really early age how to make clothing. She gave me a pair of brown and cream Pierre Cardin shoes. I put those shoes on, and I got so much attention from them, so many oohs and ahs and so many compliments, and it just made me just filled with joy and pride. Style allows you to express that by wearing colors, by wearing different designs. I think it allows us to be expressive and creative. You know, like it or not, society judges us at first visually, make assumptions about our personalities, our character. So it's really important to, you know, allow that to be at least a part of your voice.
I am Dr. Elena McDonald, and I am one half of the Twin Sister Docs. My name is Dr. Delana Wardlaw, and I am the other half of Twin Sister Docs. We lived on a small block here in Philadelphia, in the section of the city called Strawberry Mansion, where I often say there are not a lot of farms, and there are definitely not a lot of mansions. However, it was a tight-knit community. I remember the block parties. We had to get up Saturday morning, clean the block, street cleaning, make sure all the cars were moved off the street. I remember the water plug that we really had no business touching. Kick the can, double dutch, king ball, red light, green light. Do you remember what happened on the first day of first grade? Yeah, I cried. I cried for 3 days straight because they thought it was a good idea to separate us. And that didn't work for me at that time. Yes. So, you know, mommy went back to the school and said, my daughter's miserable. She's crying every day. You need to put them back together. So it took me a couple years to get myself together, but I think I was ready by 3rd grade. No. It wasn't until 5th grade. No, that's not true. Okay. That's not true. We'll confirm with mommy. When it was time to go to college, it was just answering a basic question. what do you like to do? I originally thought I was going to be an attorney. Got a job at a law office through one of, Philadelphia's summer programs. In high school, I was a file clerk. And I used to answer the phones, take messages in the message book. I'm dating myself. And then I said, I'm not interested in law. It's just too much paperwork. Yeah, little did I know how much paperwork is involved in medicine. Medicine wasn't my first choice either. So I initially thought I wanted to be an elementary school teacher. Then, sometimes the journey deviates and the path is a little bit different. One of the biggest driving forces was that when I learned Grandma had passed away, and Grandma died of breast cancer, as you know, at the age of 53, which is a very young age, and we know that breast cancer, if diagnosed at an early stage, has a high survival rate. So for me, at that time, not knowing anything about gaps in healthcare or disparities in care or lack of access to care, and at that time, I just wanted to help people live longer lives because Grandma indeed died at such a young age. And when we look back at Grandma's story, some of the whether it was a late diagnosis, probably from mistrust and lack of access. So we want to make sure that everyone has access and to try to help dismantle that mistrust that is out there. Not to say that a lot of the mistrust hasn't been earned, but we have to try to move forward and make sure that our communities are getting the best care possible. As African-American physicians, as we sit here today, we are 2% of the physician workforce in the United States. That number hasn't changed in decades. So we go into these schools and we talk to the kindergartners and we talk to the 5th graders, we talk to the 12th graders, and we're making that connection with them so that they too can see that Dr. McDonald and Dr. Wardlaw are just like me. They came from a neighborhood similar to me. They were able to be successful. They were able to go to college, go to medical school, finish residency, now practice and attending physicians. Why can't I do that? We are out at community health fairs talking to people about knowing your numbers. If you're at a street festival, people are coming to enjoy the music and the food and all the activities, and we're grabbing them again, meeting them where they are. Hey, are you familiar with just the basic steps of CPR? Because you too can save a life in those first precious moments if someone has a heart attack in front of you. So it's important for us to meet people where they are and again, give them the tools that they need to go live their best, healthiest life.
And I'm here. Take one.
Brightness in Black was a project in collaboration with StoryCorps. It's actually an initiative that they started.
Like, I knew it was gonna go good, but I didn't think it was gonna go that good.
In meeting and interviewing all of these kids for Brightness in Black, you learn a little bit about them, and like you start to develop like these questions in your head.
Oh my gosh, we got so many people. Oh, we got like artists, we got community organizers, chef, DJ, like any youth like doing things that make them happy but also have an impact on others. And I think that was just like amazing to see.
Brightness in Black was an initiative that allowed for folks to tell their own stories from a place of love and resilience and joy. It also reframes the way that we think about ourselves. So when we asset frame our situations, we start to positively think about our futures.
At the same time, it's like, okay, well, let's not rely on these media organizations. Why don't we just share our stories?
Corey's role with Brightness and Black, he helped create the curriculum, because one of the things we realized is that telling a story or telling your story takes a little skill building, and it was opportunity for us to talk to the young people about how to tell their story.
You could explain more about, like, what do you guys think?
I love how you was able to, like, once you started with like what inspired you when you were younger, and then you had connected it to when I was younger, so you bridged that gap, which I really loved in the conversation.
I'm most excited for them to see like just how awesome they are and how awesome their peers are. This program has already started to like create a network of aid where kids that are from across the city are starting to support each other's projects.
Having that Brightness and Black conversation with Sir, it kind of like opened the door to be like, okay, I can use my words to tell a story. So I'm starting to do that a little more with my own work, which is pretty cool.
So like for Black and brown kids, it's important that like they tell their stories so that other Black and brown kids can feel that their stories are being represented. But it's important for people who are not like you to hear stories that are different from them, so that they can start to understand that the world is broad and wide and there are a wealth of stories to be found in them.
Marcus Peters. My interview partners are Marshawn Lynch and Joshua Johnson. And in relationship to them, we cousins.
This the mob, this the family. I don't be taking a lot of shit serious, so I'm gonna take this shit serious, right? Yeah, I mean, it was this philosopher. He was giving some game and shit, and he was like, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Damn, stupid. This is my favorite one, and I need you to answer this one. With your family.
Sports reveal your character. If your coach telling you suck, but what do I do with my actions when you say I suck? All right, coach, tell me how I suck so I can actually go get better. OG told me this, bruh. They was like, whether y'all realize it or not, y'all had an obligation to not only the city of Oakland, but to Black people. We are going against the odds of what all the smart people in the world told us to do. Don't do this shit together.
All right, when y'all gonna start talking about the city, though?
I'll see it.
So before we move to the panel, what do you all think? How does it feel? How does it feel in the room? What you saw? Anybody have any comments on what this felt like for you? You don't have to. Just wondering. They were all too short. You want to see more of it? We like hearing that. Awesome. Before we get to the panel, we're going to actually, panelists, if you all could come up and get settled. But I have an ask for everyone in the room. That last piece, 6-word stories. Yeah. She doesn't want to go up, so she can. You go up? Okay, come on up. Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Thanks. All right, 6-word stories, y'all. And I see some people writing them down. So briefly, let me turn this on. Does anyone write in here? Anyone a writer? No? Sure, we're all writers. We're all storytellers. Sade's a writer. I see you over there. 6-word stories is such a simple thing. I actually wrote one right before this, and it's super simple. But it's a memory I have of my mother, and it's 6 words. My mother cooking while telling stories. So what I ask all of you here in the room is, while the panel is going on, if you could take a pen, have plenty of them, so you can pass these around, and just write a 6-word story. And you can leave it with us. There's on the table outside, the Brightness in Black table, you can leave it there. We love these, and who knows, yours might end up being animated like the ones we have up there. So this is just a beautiful way to sort of think about our joy and who we are as a people, what's resilient in us, who we love, and how we love. So please, 6-word stories. It's like the game Othello. Simple to learn, a lifetime to master. To get it right, go for it. All right, I am going to have these wonderful storytellers here on the stage. Many of them, actually, their work has been displayed here. And then we have Sophia Ballin, who you've met, our executive producer. I have them go around quickly and introduce themselves and the piece or pieces that they're affiliated with that we've seen. And then we'll have a quick talk, about 20 minutes. And then after that, we'll open the floor up, a conversation. We'll just kick it here with all of you and just all love in the room. Start with you, Ibrahim.
Hold that.
Use mine.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Ibrahim Kamara. I'm a videographer and editor, and I was a Brightness in Black Fellow last year.
Oh, your 6-word story.
Oh, I thought of a funny one while I was sitting here. Everybody here kept their coats on because it's so cold. I felt like that was the real Brightness in Black because you couldn't get this thing off me. But my actual one is, now I'm mixing it up. I got to make sure it's actually 6 words. We don't pull the ladder up, and that's speaking to like us helping each other. No matter like where we rank, I felt like so much of the stuff that I worked on for these pieces was due to other people that I've helped in the past, and they came back to help me, and vice versa.
Talk about the pieces.
Oh yeah. So I worked on Blue Soul Shoes. I worked on the Twin Sister Docs. I worked on the 6-word stories, and I did some minor editing for the Lyle Gittins and Ella Lenore Gittins, the oldest couple, and some very, very light editing on the Marshawn Lynch piece.
Quickly, this guy here, he started as a fellowship. We have content fellowships, part-time. We take people recently from college, Drexel, right? Yeah. And he came in, didn't know Brightness in Black, didn't know StoryCorps, and now he's like a rock star. He has 4 pieces up there, and he's just now, he's a freelancer with us, and he's just one of those success stories. The content creation process, as you see, is a main part of Brightness in Black and StoryCorps. We take the larger signature recordings and we cut them down, refine them to these stories that you've seen. And Ibrahim's a big part of that on our team for doing that. So big love for you. Sophia.
Yes, big ups Ibrahim. I want to add to that just a little bit. See him blushing. Ibrahim has been such an asset in the thread of like asset framing to the team, and you move with such like care and intention and hunger, and it shows in the work. So proud of you and where you are now and how you've been working with us, and excited to do some more work and pieces together. So yes, my name is Sophia Ballin, executive producer for Brightness in Black. The pieces I'm affiliated with, a majority of them, whether I'm EPing and giving some direction to producers or Ibrahim via editing, or doing creative direction, like with Kyle Moore Soul's piece on photography and asking the questions to pull out some of the heart of the story. So a majority of the pieces I have my hands on. In terms of my 6-word story, telling Black stories always, all ways.
Nice. All right.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tony Royster, also known as Mr. Why Not. I'm the director and founder of Positive Movement Entertainment, promote and put down the guns and pick up some drums for a better community. And my mission and pledge is I strive to keep a positive mind, to decrease negative reactions, to bring unity to my community, and enjoy life abundantly, avoiding negativity. And why do I do this? To bring smiles to the hearts of our neighbors and to be role models to others. And if everyone lives by this pledge, then the world will definitely be a better place. Yeah. And before I got here, I work at Dobbins High School teaching the drum line on Tuesdays and Fridays. And I want to say Tuesday, they had like a book drive, and I got this nice little book that had some lines. So for my 6-word story is put down guns and pick up drums.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Good evening, everybody. My name is Janine Sproul. I am the founder and CEO of Little Filmmakers. And really quickly, for those of you who don't know, we are a nonprofit media organization here in Philadelphia where we teach 10 to 24-year-olds how to tell their stories through film and media. So they learn script writing, learn how to use the cameras, editing. Everybody wants to be an influencer now. You got to learn how you're going to make money being an influencer. How you going to do that? So we also prioritize young people being on the career path of storytelling. And we interviewed about 40 young people across Philadelphia, and I don't know if we'll talk more about what we did, but yeah, we wrapped a couple of weeks ago, maybe less than a month ago, and we have probably like 25 hours of footage of kids just talking and being in communication and communing with each other. It's a really beautiful gathering that we were able to create for these amazing young people. I'll tell you more later, but we had an event last night. And shout out to my staff, my team is Corey, who's he wrote the curriculum with Taylor up here, who also wrote the curriculum, my wonderful marketing coordinator.
Stand up.
Yeah, no, listen, they young. They're young to me. They're young people, so it was like a lot of peer-on-peer working and learning together, but we all got out of the office mad late last night, so we're tired. So my 6-word story is, do not disturb, I am resting.
That's powerful, Just looking at all the people with their jackets on, just got me thinking. It's a little ice cold in here. But peace and love, y'all. I'm Dr. Kyle, the conductor. And I'm grateful to be the founding co-executive director of the ECO Foundation. ECO stands for Education, Culture, and Opportunities. We provide those things I just said. And our biggest platform and program is called the Young Bull Program, and Bull stands for Bold, Unstoppable Leaders. So what we do is we provide money, because you got to pay kids, right? As well as education through edutainment, so education plus entertainment. And we teach them everything from self-defense, sign language, music production, movie production, a little bit of everything, whatever they want. Every cohort is different. It's always catered to the 20 young people we have with us. And we also pay them to help us give out food. We serve about 100 households a week, sometimes 120, 125, but we give out groceries and non-perishables on foot. So they have wagons, they go out there, take their safety vests, and we do that every week since May 2020. And
We have a community center in West Philly, 54th and Market, and an apartment building upstairs for low to no cost housing for young adults up to age 30. They live for 6 weeks to 6 months for free, and then after that, they charge them $700 a month, keep it low. And my 6-word story, and the project I was a part of is with my dad, Kyle Sr., and thank you, I appreciate that. And that was my first time hearing my dad like cry, like a cry. So that was powerful for me, and I'm grateful for that experience. And my 6-word story, again, I'm Kyle the conductor, so my 6-word story is I conduct love, light, and liberation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. I'm going to start with you, Sophia, as our executive producer. As our executive producer, you're instrumental in finding the smaller story and the conversations that we actually facilitate at Brightness in Black and StoryCorps. Could you walk us through the process of how you take a 40-minute audio conversation between two people and find the essence that becomes many of what we saw up on screen today?
Yeah, for sure. Before we get into that, I just want to add, when you're in the work and you've watched some of these pieces over and over, like Kyle's piece, like working on that, I would cry every time I was working on it. But then after a while, you kind of get used to it. But being here with everyone and hearing the reactions, it was like watching it and hearing it again for the first time. Kyle, I saw you feel a little emotion. So just the energy here is really, it's beautiful to be with community and to watch it with community and to feel the impact in real time. It reminds us that this work is important and impactful and making a difference. So really grateful for that. So I just want to add that. In terms of our process, our editorial process, so these conversations are recorded by a facilitator and archived in the Library of Congress. Most of these conversations are like an hour long. So we either go into the archive that Chris had mentioned where we have like 700,000 pieces and we pull out some of the strong pieces featuring Black participants, or our producers will pitch something, thinking with asset framing in mind. And StoryCorps is a little different from traditional journalism, right? Traditional journalism, someone opened up a store or there's an event, you write about it, right? StoryCorps takes it like a layer deeper. It's like we need a relationship. We need two people who have a strong relationship to connect deeply and have a conversation, and we need to pull out the heart of the conversation. So once we get that hour-long tape or audio, we try to find the heart of that conversation. Asset framing definitely comes into play in the edit with the producers. There are times where we're going back and forth over a line, right? And the role, how that may play off and the impact that it may have. A strong case study for this is the Joseph Bond and Tremaine Crawley story. That's the man who went back to high school at 72. He's been covered by a lot of Philadelphia outlets. Almost every single piece that's been written about him, the headline starts with high school dropout or why he dropped out. And when working with my producer, we have this limited amount of time that we're working with because we air these pieces on NPR, like 2 to 3 minutes. And we're like trying to fit this context in of like why he dropped out and how he went back to high school in the 70s. And just thinking about asset framing, we realized like, is this really integral to the story? Is this really the most important bit of information, right? Like the most iconic piece of the story is the fact that he went back to high school at 72. That is the story, right? And it's just another example of how our stories are often framed with that deficit first kind of narrative. Even Kyle, your piece, right? We did an interview one time and there's so much more to your story, so much more you talked about in that conversation with your dad. And when we did the interview, the host was like, I'm surprised you guys didn't focus on X, Y, and Z. And you were like, actually, I'm glad that we focused on this. The first time anyone focused on your relationship as opposed to all these other external factors that weren't as captivating and didn't have the heart. So that's how we kind of use asset framing in the edit. And it's been really interesting to see how it's changing how I view myself as well and my community, and I think just the producers as well, how they've changed as journalists. And then just like visually, I'm always thinking about how are we, what's the colors that we're using in a lot of our work? How are we posing? And for Malcolm Jenkins and Gwen Jenkins, there are a lot of poses with power. There's a lot of color. Our skin is popping, right? Like how do we show that brightness in black visually as well? So that's something I'm always trying to keep in mind. For your piece with your dad, there's a lot of power, there's strength, there's vulnerability. You guys are leaning on each other. So we try to think about all of these different intentional moments where we can deploy asset framing.
Great, thank you, thank you.
I want to add one more thing too. Another thing that I think sometimes people forget, these pieces are archived in the Library of Congress, meaning like long after we're gone, there's gonna be some high schooler who's gonna do a project and they're gonna go back and they can listen to this and say, oh, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, this is how we loved. This is how we spoke. This is what was important to us. So also in the edit, it's keeping our dialect, it's keeping our culture, it's trying to keep that authenticity because that's preserving our history of who we are right now in real time. Because that's the story that they're gonna carry on hundreds of years from now. So that's something I also think about with this work.
Yes, yes. And by the way, you all can tell stories as well. You can download our app, more on that later, or you can talk to us afterwards and say, I'm interested, I have a great story to tell. One of you out there came to me before we started and talked to me about a project that they have. This is something that's open to all of us, not just the pieces that you've seen, not just us up on here. It's open to all of you. You can tell your truth, you can tell your stories and you get it down, and it's for you and it's for whomever else you want to share it with, including the world. All right, Ibrahim, I'm gonna go back to you. Tell us about your experience. I kind of blew your head up a bit, but why don't you tell us in your own words how your experience was coming here last June and where you are now? Just kind of walk us through your development.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster, I would say. My contract was from June to December of last year, and I got introduced to StoryCorps through Andrea Walls, who, shout out to Andrea.
Yeah, Andrea was a field coordinator for Brightness in Black. Her term ended in the last year, but she's wonderful. Some of you in Philly may know her, Philly Walls, Museum of Black Joy. So she's wonderful.
So I started in June along with 3 other fellows, shout out to them, Vanita, Soleil, and Jasir. And really, we just hit the ground running in terms of getting the content done. We started in June, and within like 2 weeks, we were working on Juneteenth projects over at the African American Museum of Philadelphia. I felt like the entire journey was just getting introduced to people and just sort of like letting the story play out on its own. That's how I got introduced to Tony. I forgot to mention that we also worked on that together. Blue Soul Shoes with Steve Jameson. Twin Sister Docs, I already had a relationship with them, but it allowed me to learn more about them. And I think a fun fact is we were all from North Philly, actually. I know you're from North Philly. Steve was also from North Philly. I'm from North Philly. The Twin Sister Docs came up in North Philly, and in a pretty like localized area as well. So it felt like I'm able to reconnect with pretty much my stomping grounds through this work. It helped me because prior to this, I was just a freelancer, and I didn't have a team that I was working with. So getting feedback from both you, Sophia, and Kelvin, it helped me strengthen my work and my ability to tell a narrative through video in ways where in the past I was just shooting and, I would upload and let some other editor handle the work. It really, like, the camera tells one story, but then the edit, similar to like what you were saying, Sophia, it tells an entirely different story. And I feel like especially in these times, like politically especially, the story is always shifting. And a lot of the stuff that was okay a decade ago has changed. A lot of things that were not okay, I meant to say, have changed, especially like, the political landscape that we're in. So I feel like the only constant is the stories that we tell about ourselves. And it's not necessarily about proving it to others, but reminding ourselves because really your consciousness is a snowstorm of everything that you've heard and everything that you consume. So while you don't want to paint yourself in an unrealistic light and try to make yourself into like a saint, as you said, you still have to remind yourself constantly in a world where you're swimming upstream that there is positivity within the Black community.
Thank you. Thank you. Well said. I'm going to skip you for a second, Tony, and go to Janine to stay on the idea of young people. First of all, Janine, as I said, the piece that you all put together in such short notice, I think I asked you for this in like 3 weeks ago. So kudos, it's really wonderfully done. And we can't wait to see what you do with all the 20 conversations that you've recorded. So if you could speak a little bit about your organization, how you actually work with young filmmakers, how young and how young and how you actually foster them. For example, I know you actually have one of your young filmmakers who I believe works for you now has an animation piece in South by Southwest, which is really amazing.
Oh,
so
wow.
You can speak to that?
Thank you for flexing for us. Yeah, so thank you. Again, I've been teaching young people how to tell their stories for, it's been 2 decades now. I started off as a teaching artist because I was one of those kids that loved movies, and nobody was teaching Black kids how to make movies in the 1980s or the 90s. So my mom was like, we're gonna go to the library, we're gonna get some books, because you're gonna read how they make movies. And that's what I did for many years. So I think Little Filmmakers is just kind of like my love language to young people. I understand that when you are a young person, you don't necessarily have agency yet, and you are kind of at the behest of the adult world, and sometimes the adult world isn't kind, and sometimes they're not taking consideration of young people and their needs. So that's why A Brightness in Black was a really great project for us. We teach young people how to go inside themselves and tell their own authentic story and help them to navigate the emotional part of it. That's why we do a lot of social emotional learning. It is okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be disappointed. But then how are we going to tell that story from a place of healing or in the process of healing? So that's why The Brightness in Black was really in alignment with the work that we do. We do social emotional learning. Like, kids don't realize they're learning how to manage their emotion through storytelling. It's kind of like you hide the pill in the pudding a little bit. So they're getting the medicine, but they're also enjoying the pudding, right? Do people even eat pudding anymore? There's a random cake, let's call it cake, right? But we had the pleasure. You said what? I said I want to. She said I love pudding. Boom. That was for you. That was for you. But we had the great pleasure of going around the city of Philadelphia, and we were looking for change makers. And this is why my team was so amazing in this, because we were like, we want to find young people who are just, even in their young age, know that they want to make an impact in their community. I mean, you go down to like 12 years old to 24 years old. The 12-year-olds have written books. I barely write my name right. You've written a book. So we needed to uplift those stories, because not only did those kids' story needs to be out, but other people need to hear those stories. Other kids need to hear those stories, because we see ourselves sometimes in each other, but we also want to see our strength and our courage. So I lost my train of thought, but yeah. So this was an amazing experience for us, because now understanding media always peg young people, especially Black kids, as villains, to be scared of them. You know, I always tell people I got young men walking down the street shooting all day, every day with cameras. And they're like, what? But, and that's the power of young people learning their power, having agency and having a place that's safe, that's going to allow them to express themselves authentically. They learn not to follow what's on social media, because sometimes that's a setup. You know, it's mostly cap and they don't get it. But it's all psychological, it's all done on purpose. So when they understand media literacy, they understand discernment. They understand that this is not made for me. I take this with a grain of salt, so to speak. But I get to also tell my story, and I'm drawn to the more authentic stories that are out there, because that's that's where it is. It's the authenticity. I'm rambling a little bit.
I like the rambling.
So did I answer your question? All right, I'll keep talking. So I'm gonna change to
Thank
that
you.
too. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Tony Oyster. You know, we at Brightness and Black, we hear joy a lot in the stories we tell, and when people work with us, there's something joyous about it. And one of the things about your piece and the other piece that you've done with us and yourself as well is it just there's a vibe of joyousness around it. So if you could speak to your mission in the city to drum, to go around the city and to change perceptions of life here. You actually talk in the piece about some challenges in your life. You don't lead with that. Very Brightness and Black of you. You don't lead with that, but it is a fact. So if you could speak to how you work with kids in school and how you actually really help people to feel what's joyous in them in the Black community.
So, you never know what the next person is going through. So it's always good to be positive. When you're walking down the street, again, you never know what the next person is going through. So why not give a smile? Why not say hello? Those little things starts great conversations. And it also can change the narrative as well, as you just being nice. In the schools, I really love it. I'm really blessed to be able to do what I love. Working in the school is not a job for me. It's what I love doing. And me just growing up in the projects, not having all the expensive things or, the good sneakers, a lot of stuff that everybody else was having. The drill team was there for me and, got my first pair of Timberlands and my first Dickie suit. And when I started my own team, I said, you never know what the next person is going through. And it might be other people, kids or adults that, had the same experience that I have living in the projects and not having, certain things. With me starting my own team, it was to be able to give back to that next person. Also, everybody has a talent. We all do, everybody in this room. We just need the right people to help us or guide us with our talents. And then everybody has rhythm. That's what I tell all my students. If you can count to 8 and you can count to 16, that's your rhythm. Also, if you have a heartbeat, that's the rhythm that you go off of. When we marching through the community, I hear it all the time. Oh, I always wanted to play the drums. Oh, I love the drill team. I miss it. We take ages 8 to 80. You're never too old to do something positive and get back to the community. And then we come across people that's like, I always wanted to play, but I don't have no rhythm. And I say, play what's ever on your heart. Listen to your heart and just let it out. So drumming is just, everything for me. And I'm glad and blessed to be able to share that and also, uplift our community.
Wonderful, thank you. So pass it down to Dr. Kyle Marsall.
Appreciate it.
I'm a father, and I am a once son myself. So, as I told you in the lobby there, what you did with your father really touches me personally. But, Brightness and Black is all about resilience in the face of challenge and love and vulnerability. So your piece shows that. The piece you did with your father really shows that. What was the experience like in the room, sitting with your father, going through that with him, being surprised at his vulnerability? If you could speak to that. And I think, and also the idea of mental health with black men as well?
For sure. So my dad and I were actually beefing at the time. We weren't talking. And I asked my mom to do all right, take a step back. I'm a professor at Cheney University, the first HBCU. My dad's also an alum at Cheney University. And I met a young man at Cheney that was a part of this. He was a fellow or something like that with Jordan Michael, yes, with StoryCorps. And he was telling me about this project, and he said, well, you have to interview, it's an interview between you and someone that knows you well, so preferably your mom or your dad. And I wanted to go with my mom because my dad and I were arguing, and we hadn't spoken in about 4 weeks. And we usually only talk like once a week anyway, but we talk normally. At the time, we were beefing over something silly, and then my mom said she couldn't make it, so I said, man, let me call this dude real quick. Let me just see what he talking about, because Jordan was like, hey, I got to do it like ASAP, and I'm like, my dad don't got no job, so my dad has like 3 jobs, but the point is, he gets off of work at like 11 o'clock. I don't wake up until like 11 o'clock, so it worked out, because my toddler keeps me up all night. At the time, he was 2.5, he'll be 4 next week, and either way, so my dad and I are speaking, and like a really awkward, like, hey, what's up? I'm like, what's up? He was like, you got any water? I'm like, the fridge right there. We just kind of, it was kind of cold, right? It was cold. Jordan started asking these questions, and we start, I'm used to telling a certain story. I'm a gunshot survivor. I was shot 6 times. I briefly died on the table, came back. That's always a story I tell. I could tell like it was yesterday, from like scene by scene, play by play, pulls out gun, da-da-da-da-da. It's a story I'm used to telling. And it's a story I expected to be told. And we're talking about that, and it comes up in conversation. And I hadn't gone to therapy until I was shot on January 1st, 2013. I didn't go to therapy until spring of 2017. And for years, I just used a lot of vices. I used the wrong things to heal and get through it. My dad, kind of raised me that way, like, stop crying before I give you something to cry about. I watched him just power through losing his father. So Stephen Jameson's my uncle, that's his brother. So when Uncle Steve and my dad lost their father, Irvin Jameson, in 2005, and then they lost their grandmother, Vi Jameson, in 2006. Then my dad lost his maternal grandmother, who raised him, Alma Johnson, in 2007. Then he lost his mother, Cheryl Morris, in 2008. Lost his job at SEPTA for 20-something years in 2004, so that's what started this loss. So I watched my dad loss after loss after loss after loss, just thug it out. Never saw him bounce back, never saw him heal, never saw him, none of this. I just saw him just thug it out, go to work, chin up, and just keep it moving. Now, I remember a couple weeks where he wore the same sweatpants, and we lived together for a while, a couple years, and I remember him showing me depression, but not talking about depression. So fast forward, I'm dealing with my own experiences. I didn't know we could really talk about anything. I thought I had to be drunk in order to start venting before I could talk about what was going on. I thought that was only an excuse, right? Or maybe once a year on the anniversary, because a friend of mine died that night, Stephen Kyrie Johnson. I would go drive up to 1711 West Venango Street, pour out some Southern Comfort, sit there, cry, smoke, drink, whatever, and just kind of drive my way back home to wherever I was living in the city. And I thought that was just what you did. I thought that was how you healed. So for my dad to be telling a story about my grandma, his mom, who was my best friend, like my best friend, like, not to get graphic, but the day I became a man, she was the first person I told. Like, that was my homie, like, and for him to tell me, to just be sharing these stories, and for him to express that he hadn't cried until that moment for her. Like, I literally saw him drop one thug tear on her funeral, and that was it. Not his dad's funeral, not his grandma, not his other grandma, none of those. Never saw him cry other than that one tear. So to hear him like, Will Smith, why don't he want me, man? Like, cry, like, it was just like a moment for me that just showed me the power of vulnerability. And I've been facilitating gun violence group therapy sessions with Black Men Heal. It's a really dope nonprofit. And you get 8 free therapy sessions for Black men. You go on at blackmenheal.org. And as I'm in these gun violence group therapy sessions, I learn a lot, and I'm hearing people tell their stories over and over again, and it's really, sometimes it's triggering, and sometimes it's not. But I'm learning that I can be vulnerable. And because I live with bipolar 2 disorder, sometimes I don't have moments where I can feel at all. I haven't cried since last year. And typically I'm a crybaby, but because like my chemical imbalance in my brain, I've been manic most of this year for about 6 weeks here. I had a little break, then like the last 3 weeks now. I'm not really sleeping. I'm just, anyway, bipolar 2, look it up. So for me to cry just now, for the first time since New Year's Eve, which I always cry New Year's Eve because that's when the shooting was, it was powerful. And that's the power of telling stories that are asset frame, like focusing on the jump and not the hurdle, right? Like my grandma will be with us forever. Our ancestors will be with us forever, right? And they guide us as we move through spaces and buildings, spreading love, laughter, liberation, and healing. And it's important to us to make sure we keep telling their stories. As the sister said in the one video, they're gonna live with us and move through us forever. So I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I'm rambling. And thank you.
No, thank you for that. Thank you for your vulnerability, and thank you all. I am now going to open the floor up to any questions. We got about 10 minutes. We are running a little bit late, but if anybody has any questions, raise your hand. I'll bring you the microphone. Don't be shy. There we go.
How you doing?
Good, yourself?
I didn't hear you say why you became familiar with this program. I didn't hear your rationale.
Yeah, I skipped over that a little bit. So Andrea, it kind of leads way back. I went to Drexel University and I finished in 2023. So really my first bit of experience with videography and editing was with a program called Writer's Room, which is like an intergenerational writing program. And that's where I met Andrea Walls. Okay. She got me connected with StoryCorps because we did an event for Yes Philly. And that was like a school event, a high school event, where some kids went out to Paris and they came back and shared their experiences. So we recorded that, and that sort of got me into the ropes in terms of StoryCorps.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Sure? Don't be shy now. Sade.
This is for anybody on the panel. What's been your favorite part about being able to participate in Brightness in Black?
I want to say, like Sophia said, that this is like going to live on forever. And there's going to be people that can go and see how it was in 2025 and 2026 and what we were doing and how we were living and how we were trying to make the world a better place. So I'm really happy to be a part of that. Also, I'm the only boy. It was my mom had me and my sister. I just lost my sister last year. So this is another way to, keep us on the map. And then I'm making my mom proud. I'm making my grandma proud. I lost my grandpa, which was my male figure. I really never met my real dad. I had my stepdad. So, yeah, I'm really thankful. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, one more question.
I want to answer real quick. To add to that, there's two parts. I think the best part of working with Brightness in Black is one, watching like how it changed me as a journalist and also other producers who aren't Black too. Like now I hear them asking questions like, do you think this story is too white savory? Do you think, I'm like, y'all never asked this question before. Like they're rethinking how they tell stories and especially our stories. The second part, with everything going on in the world, there's no better job. There's no better place to be right now in telling our stories from a lens of our joy, strength, and love. I had someone ask me, do you think Brightness in Black has enough bite and has enough edge? And I'm like, just being here listening to Kyle is just a reminder that our joy people say Black joy is radical. Our joy, our love, our healing, our vulnerability makes people uncomfortable. And it is so important and integral to who we are. And there's a reason why those stories of Black trauma and struggle tend to be the most successful ones, because it makes some people comfortable, right? So what makes us comfortable and filled with pride isn't comfortable for everyone else. So therefore I say Brightness in Black does have edge, does have bite, and is especially important during this time.
Thank you. One more brief question.
I admire you for more than one reason, but in particular, I work in schools, and I've been in a school where drumming is a big deal. And the children who have the most difficulty in the classroom, when they get into that drumming vibe, it's like, that's you? They're like, they're standing straight up, they're like very prideful. So it really makes a difference. It's really making them see themselves a little more positive.
Yes.
And these are like 5th graders, 4th graders. I know you go into the high school, so I hope you could bring that down, because they're the ones who really need it.
Yep, I teach little kids as well.
Yeah,
yep,
it's great.
With my company, we start at 8 and up. And then I definitely worked in middle schools, but that goes back to what I said about, like, you never know what the next person was going through. These young kids, we don't know what they go through when they leave school or before they go to school, and drumming is therapeutic. So they might be cutting up, and then when it's time for drum class, they get to let all that anger out on those drums and pay attention. So.
I did notice when you were saying that a lot of the boys who are in the drumming, they do have family issues. And it is a mechanism to help them improve and just be better.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
For sure. I am going to release the panel now. Thank you all for your wonderful voice.
We can do a picture of them so people see that.
Okay. We're going to do a group picture of you all afterwards, so don't leave. And then I'm going to turn this over to Chris, our Chief Strategy Officer, to bring it all home.
Well, thank you all again for attending. I want to acknowledge in the back the CEO of StoryCorps, Sandy Clark, actually here. She snuck in. She's back there. Quick story about Sandy. I've known Sandy, I guess, going on 6 or 7 years now. We both worked together at WHLY. And I joined StoryCorps about 3.5 years ago. And my first job when I got here, she says, we need a new name for this like Black Narrative Change project. I won't tell you what the name was, but it had to think through this. And the question I asked myself was, what do I want people to feel, see, and think when they encounter these stories? And the answer was, I want people to see the brightness in Black. And I remember that moment going, that's actually pretty cool. So I hope that you guys all really experienced that. The other thought was this idea of countering narratives, this idea that we need to be able to identify harmful narratives and be able to instinctually and intuitively counter them. And from 8 to 80, we all need to know that, right? So another idea that came up was that we should have some kind of game that allows people to think through these narrative things. And so what you're seeing here is a pilot of a card game that we are going to be releasing soon that's played in the tradition of spades, where everyone holds in their hands asset cards, and they get to choose from the deficit deck, and they counter these cards with asset cards in real time, and it sparks dialogue. So if you are thinking about like games and how to gamify game night, and you want the Black Card Revoked and all these different kind of games, well, stay tuned. Follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Brightness in Black. Also, as Kelvin mentioned, you too can do a Brightness in Black story. If you download the StoryCorps app today, which you should do by just scanning the QR code, you can go home today, tomorrow, at some point this weekend, and think about, who do I want to have this really important conversation with? It's also a way to really mark really meaningful moments. Graduation season is coming up. If there's a birthday, if you want to think about something that's really special, how do I give a gift to someone who has everything? do a StoryCorps story. Even our app interviews are archived in the Library of Congress. So I really encourage you to stay connected to Brightness and Black. Follow us on social media. Stay tuned, because when we launch the card games, I want to see each one of you with one during the holiday season. It was a pleasure having you here. Have a good night.